My story didn't begin with cryptocurrency. It began with personal struggles that had been shaping my life for years. In 2016, my marriage hit a problem that never found resolution. By 2017, my wife had left me completely, and in 2019, the divorce was finalized. Long before the paperwork was signed, I had already fallen into depression. That depression grew heavier with time, and by the second half of 2018, I began to feel the first signs of type 2 diabetes. During and after the breakup, my lifestyle made things worse. I drank heavily almost every weekend, staying up late, eating poorly, and sleeping very little. I also put a pause on any search for a new partner. I didn't want to force myself into finding a replacement. I first needed to seek peace within myself, to forgive the mistakes I believed had led to the collapse of my marriage. Even when real chances for a new relationship came, I let them pass. While I was dealing with this separation and struggling to find my footing again, I tried to look for new ways to keep myself occupied. That's when I developed an interest in photography, and I also thought lightly about investments, though at that time I didn't take the idea seriously. Still, the thought crossed my mind that opportunities often come only once, and you need to know how to recognize them. Opportunities, whether in love or in finance, often come wrapped in risk and uncertainty, and that in many ways became the stage on which my next chapter would unfold. In late 2024, I became the target of what can only be described as a sophisticated cryptocurrency scam. This is not just a story about losing money. It is a story about trust, manipulation, and the use of stolen identities to exploit people's emotions. As I slowly tried to rebuild myself after that heavy period of depression, during which I ignored chances for new relationships, I reached a point where I began to consider dating again. In 2021, I had a brief romance that didn't work out, and over time I started to feel very lonely once more. Since I couldn't find anyone locally, I began to consider the world of dating apps, something I had always held in very low regard. In December 2024, through a dating app, I met someone who called herself Arya. She said she was 29 years old, showed an Asian appearance, and even displayed a small Mexican flag on her profile. Not long after, she told me her real name was Hannah, that she was originally from Thailand and that she lived in the UK. At first, everything seemed harmless. She was friendly, attentive, and our conversations quickly turned personal. We spoke daily, sharing details about our lives. She mentioned her uncle, who she said was involved in finance, and she spoke about opportunities to invest in cryptocurrency. She eventually introduced me to an online investment platform. At first glance, it looked professional. It even had customer support that responded instantly, no matter the time of day. I decided to try making a small initial deposit. The system seemed to work. I saw numbers growing on the screen, profits accumulating. It felt real. The profits grew too fast. The responses from support were almost immediate, like they were always watching, always waiting. But at that moment, I ignored the doubts. I wanted to believe it was true. That was how the trap was set. Little by little, I was drawn into something that looked like opportunity, but was in fact a carefully designed deception. In the beginning, Hannah and I shared daily conversations. She was kind, attentive, and her messages made me feel less alone. She often sent me photos of herself, casual moments that gave our relationship a sense of warmth and closeness. Then everything changed. One day my funds were suddenly blocked. The platform gave me a deadline of 7 days to unlock them, but only if I deposited 5,000 USTD. It felt suspicious and unfair. Hannah tried to calm me down, encouraging me to trust that everything would be fine. Against my better judgment, I did what was required. After the forced deposit, my funds were unlocked. For a short moment, I felt relief. It seemed like everything was back to normal. But soon after, it happened again. A second blockage, this time under the excuse of a vague security issue. No real explanation was given. And now they demanded 10,000 USTD. I begged for more time. I asked for an extension to the 7-day deadline. I was desperate. I began showing signs of defeat. Instead of comfort, Hannah told me my problem was that I didn't trust her enough. She tried to persuade me again, urging me to find a way to raise the money. A week before the deadline, Hannah said she could contribute 7,000 USTD plus 2,400 USTD from a friend of hers. All that was missing was my partial payment of 600 USDT to reach the goal. Hannah gave me detailed instructions on how to make my partial payment. Shortly after I confirmed my transfer of 600 USTD, Hannah blocked me. Just like that, she disappeared. I tried contacting the platform. Days went by, and I never received a response about my partial payment. Then, without warning, my account was deleted even before the deadline had expired. After being abandoned by both Hannah and the platform, I decided to investigate on my own. Using advanced tools, I traced the photos Hannah had sent me. And that's when I discovered the truth. They were real photos, but they weren't hers. They had been taken in Boston. After my account was deleted and Hannah vanished, I knew I had to take action. I filed a report with my local police department. I wanted my story to be documented, even if recovering my money seemed impossible. Since the photos led me to Boston, I tried to alert the local police there as well. I sent emails, I left messages, but I received no reply. It felt as if my voice was lost, unheard, across borders. I also submitted a detailed report to Action Fraud in the United Kingdom. I included dates and other info, but the process was slow and I had no guarantee that anything would move forward. Everywhere I turned, I encountered silence, delays, or bureaucratic barriers. I realized that while authorities might take months or years to act, the scammers could already be targeting someone else right now. That's when I made my decision. If official channels were too slow, I would share my story myself, openly and with caution, not to seek pity, but to raise awareness, because scams thrive in silence, and silence only helps the scammers. My goal was no longer just about recovering what I lost. It became about preventing others from falling into the same trap. This experience changed me. It showed me how vulnerable trust can be when manipulated, and how easily anyone can become a target. But it also showed me that silence is the greatest ally of scammers, and that telling our stories is one way to fight back. To anyone who has been through something similar, I want you to know, you are not alone. Fraud leaves scars that go far beyond money. It touches our confidence, our dignity, our ability to trust. But sharing our voices can help others and can bring light where scammers prefer darkness. If you recognize these signs, strangers pushing investments, promises of guaranteed profits, or personal images used to build false intimacy, please step back and think twice. Share this message. Talk about it. Awareness is the first defense. This is not just my story. It could happen to anyone. And the more we speak out, the fewer victims there will be.